Hello. After we examined the principle, or it's the demonstration of the principle, show don't tell, through the film by Ray, and the script writing leap revolution through Shule, I have been receiving suggestions and advices and requests that the cardinal principles of script writing be demonstrated through appropriate films. So this time we are examining, you would have often heard that one cardinal principle is that everything should connect with everything. And today we will look at this principle, how it is implemented in the film Three Idiots. Okay, so incidentally, Chetan Bhagat's 5 Point Someone, the book, and Three Idiots have similarities. And Chetan and me, we come from the same college. So when his book was published, we were all very eager, particularly those of us, we did not have great grades, because 5 Point Someone actually is on a scale of 10, the grading, the CGPA as we call that. So we read his book and we immensely liked it, because I also lived that environment and that value system and that culture and the same campus which inspired Chetan to write that book. And later when Three Idiots came, we heard murmurs that Chetan is not happy about the credits given to him in the film, to which Vidhu Vinod Chopra responded that it is loosely inspired by 5 Point Someone. So we were very curious to compare the book and the film. And when I saw the film, I realized to what level, to what depth has Three Idiots taken the idea of 5 Point Someone. To begin with, 5 Point Someone, the hero is an average student who doesn't care about the grades. But in Three Idiots, the hero is someone who doesn't care about the grades, but still gets the best grades. Hats off to the makers of the film. Well, at first glance, the film is remembered for its humor, songs, and the iconic dialogues. But beneath that surface lies its real strength. Three Idiots behaves like a closed narrative system in which scenes speak to each other across time. Objects travel with memory. Dialogues return carrying evolved meanings. Nothing appears once and disappears. Everything comes back. The millimeter in the beginning becomes a centimeter. That's a 10x growth of character within 3 hours. Welcome to Writer for Writers. I'm Manish Kumar, and in this video, we are not just talking about the connectivity rule, we are watching it work. By analyzing the Three Idiots, we'll see how story structure, characters, scenes, objects, and even small details, Pia's scooter, Virus's pen, Raju's rings, the water tank, office keys, watches, suits, and repeat dialogues interlock, interact with each other to create a film that feels complete, satisfying, and timeless. Well, let's start with the story structure. The entire film, actually beginning today morning from the flight and ending the next day evening at Punsuk's school, 2 days. And the entire thing is a journey in search of Rancho kahan hai? That's the simple question. On the surface is a road trip from Delhi to Ladakh, primarily to find a missing friend who is first supposed to be found in Shimla and later in Ladakh. Structurally, it is far more powerful. The present day road trip is not just a framing device. It forces revisiting every unresolved emotional threat. It recontextualizes past events with adult and current understanding. And finally, it makes the climax feel earned, not accidental. That question, Rancho kahan hai, forces Farhan and Raju to reopen emotional chapters they never truly closed. Every flashback exists because Rancho is missing. Every memory explains why a man who believed सक्सेस के पीछे मत भागो, एक्सेलेंस का पीछा करो. Why this belief could never permanently survive inside a rigid, rank-obsessed system. The present-day search pulls the past with it. These are not two timelines. They are causally linked. The connection principle, every flashback is motivated by a present-day action. And every emotional revelation in the past answers a question raised in the present. Well, the film actually opens in a chaos, beautiful chaos within the plane. That scene itself is a complete film. Farhan receiving a phone call, the plane taking off, he feigning, and then demonstrating on the airport that he's fit. The flight from which Farhan deplanes is AI-101. This is a 16-hour flight from Delhi to New York, which means that, and which implies that it's not just an air journey. It is Farhan going from India to USA. That establishes, number one, Farhan's success in his career in 10 years. And secondly, the incident of his deciding to deplane is not ordinary. It is high stakes. And he coming out of the airport, getting into a random taxi, calling Raju leaving his home without his pants. And all this is caused by one phone call from Chatur. The movie starts, ignited. Chatur wipes dust off a wall to reveal a date, 5th September, which takes him back to the exact moment he engraved it 10 years ago. After a massive humiliation he suffered at the stage. The humiliation was not random. It happened because Chatur memorized the speech without understanding it. मतलब नहीं चाहिए दुबे जी, मैं याद कर लेंगे. Rancho's prank wasn't cruelty. It was exposure, designed. Chatur's ego transforms that exposure into a bet. And that bet becomes the film's present-day spine. Even Raju's brief decision to distance himself from Rancho, believing that separation would improve his marks, is shattered by Chatur's public failure. It was actually designed for that. The prank becomes a lesson, not a joke. Let's look at objects. As the road trip begins, Chatur arrives fully armed with symbols of success. A luxury car, expensive snacks, and a neatly packed suit reserved for the great scientist Funshuk Mangu. Not to forget the picture of his bungalow and his wife. Having a wife is also part of success. Later, in Shimla, Raju, who left home without pants, secretly wears trousers from that same suit. It's a small gag, but it is precise storytelling. Everything Chatur prepared to impress success itself. The suit, the snacks, the respect was unknowingly meant for Rancho all along. What a paradox. What a paradox. Rancho is not a conventional hero. He is a catalyst. Rancho is not written as a man chasing success. He is written as a catalyst, someone who triggers transformation in others. Let's look at how Rancho connects everything. With Farhan, he connects with Farhan's photography dream. At Farhan's house, when Farhan's father is giving lectures, he is concentrating on the photographs on the walls. And then the question that he asks and the Swan journey, he connects with Raju about fear of poverty. He connects with Priya about medical ethics. His main confrontation is with Virus about the philosophy of education. And his rival, Chatur, rote learning versus understanding. Interestingly, in this film, Rancho does not have his own selfish want. Instead, Rancho's purpose is to activate dormant wants in others, including Millimeter. And this is why he disappears after college. And the story literally revolves around finding him. By the way, Rancho's disappearance in the script after college is not mystery, not accident, but it is a script's necessity. If he stayed in touch with everyone else, others would depend on him. Which is why the search changes Farhan and Raju before they ever find him. When they finally do, Rancho casually says, "मैं वही हूं," reminding us that he never needed transformation. Others did. In a nutshell, in this script, Rancho is designed less as a hero and more as a connective engine. He connects with everything. Anybody who touches him gets transformed, including Millimeter. When he casually asks Farhan, "तो engineer बनना चाहता है या photographer?" It seems casual, harmless. But that question quietly travels across the film and returns years later when Farhan tells his father, "मैंने अपना फैसला कर लिया है." And then finally, Millimeter shows books written by Farhan, read by Rancho. Rancho doesn't collect ranks or trophies. His victories are invisible. People around him change, awaken, and grow. Let's come to Virus. Is he the villain? No. His ideology is the villain. Ideology is life is a race. The idea infects the entire campus. Students live in a fear. Parents push blindly. Failure becomes shame. Chatur absorbs this ideology through memorization. Rancho challenges it through understanding. Every major conflict, academic pressure, suicide, rebellion, fear, everything grows from this clash of ideologies. Let's look at the names. Even names do narrative work in Three Idiots. Chatur Ramalingam literally means clever. Yet he never understands what he memorizes. His humiliation is ideological, not comic. Virus behaves exactly like an infection. And his full name, Viru Sahasra Buddhe. Sahasra is 1,000, Buddhe is minds, 1,000 minds. And the infection of the virus is spreading fear so deeply that it escapes the classroom and destroys his own home. There are small things, kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, but they don't bite. This family doesn't bite the dogs. Wangadu, such an awkward name. Chachar, because of which Pia does not want to change her surname. Silencer. He silences everyone because of Churan and because of his meticulous memorization. And talking about Virus's ideology, the same pressure he enforces on students consumes his own son. What a tragedy. There are very, very interesting objects in the film. First is the astronaut pen, introduced as the ultimate symbol of success. Virus worships it. The same pen then raises a question, पेंसिल से क्यों नहीं लिख लिखता है? At which Virus has to leave the class and he says, I will get back to you on this. And he actually gets back on this small thing when he hands over the pen to Rancho by saying, pencil की नोक टूट के आंख में जा सकती है. The story of the pen doesn't end here. When Chatur and Wangdu have to sign an agreement, Chatur has before that taken the pen from Wangdu, and Wangdu makes a phone call which Chatur receives, and which he says, sign कैसे करूं, मेरी पेन तो तेरे पास है. And that pen reveals the difference, or the identity of Rancho and Wangdu is the same. What a revelation. Raju has rings he wears. These rings represent fear, faith replacing confidence. When Raju finally admits, मैं बहुत डरता हूं, the ring lose their power. And this is the growth of a character in the film. The rings are symbolic of the growth that Raju goes through in the film. After surviving the fall, he removes them. The fear that almost killed him no longer controls him. Many objects. The office keys. The couch. Virus decides to set up a paper himself so that Raju fails. And this is because of his earlier casual claim that these guys will not get a job. Pia, who's now understanding the battle of ideology between her father and her lover, decides against Virus. So she steals the office keys. She delivers the office keys to Rancho. The keys again come in when these guys go and steal the paper. Incidentally, when Raju gets the paper, he decides not to use it. Amazing twist. Then these keys again come into play in the birthday scene when Virus says that the vacuum cleaner in his office, and Farhan prepares to go there, and 2 sets of keys are thrown to him, signifying the transformation which Virus has undergone. Actually, everything in the film repeats in a different context. The uniform is for attending a school, and the uniform is for attending a wedding to get food. Bhindi. When these guys go to Raju's home, Raju's mother, complains, Bhindi 12 rupees kilo ho gayi hai. And this Bhindi comes back again when Raju is in the hospital. His mother is feeding him Bhindi, and Farhan is writing on Raju's plaster, Bhindi 12 rupees kilo. साड़ी, माँ ने 2 साल से कोई साड़ी नहीं खरीदी है. And in the hospital, साड़ी 2000 रुपए की है. 10 साड़ियां खरीदी हैं. चटनी, used for demo. Once to Suhas, chutney on his shoes. Then to Virus. And finally, is the chutney which is applied by Raju on Suhas's sherwani, which he was supposed to wear in his marriage. Priya's scooter, helmet, everything comes back with a new meaning. Not to mention, not to forget, the photograph, the class photograph. When the photograph is taken, Rancho being the topper, is sitting next to a virus in the first row. But when the same photograph is revealed on the wall in Shimla, in Rancho Das's home, Rancho is replaced by Rancho Das Chanchad. What a revelation. Just compare the two frames and the mind goes out. Hats off to the writers of the film. Let's look at some events in the context of how everything connects with everything. Joy Lobo's suicide is the film's first warning. It's not an isolated tragedy. I quit, written on his wall, is obviously because of pressure and deadlines. And the same fear is living inside Raju. The same fear later we come to know, the same pressure later we come to know, consumed Virus's own son. The loop closes. In a confrontation with Pia, and in the final scene, the childbirth scene, that this invention wasn't just for the sake of it. The invention returns again and again and forwards the story. The inventions by Rancho in the hostel, including the spoon, the Mutra Visarjan scene, even that scene doesn't happen only once. It happens again to Chatur in Funshuk's school. In one line, these inventions establish Rancho's engineering philosophy, solve real problems. And interestingly here, the definition, the two types of definitions of machine and books immediately have a payoff for every audience. There are umpteen number of classroom demos which come in the wake of the constant struggle or the constant battle of ideologies. The events pre-radicalization, Farhanite, and the mad rush to find their meanings. The event when they ask, Rancho asks, "Aapko pata hai hum kaun hai?" And when he realizes that the professor doesn't know him, they mix the copies and run away. The event of Raju, brrr, how the induction motor starts. All of these connects with Chatur's speech, memorization, Rancho's rebellion, a consistent worldview, firm, clear, and unshakable. Virus's irritation because of his threatened not only authority but value, and the student reactions, which are around fear versus curiosity. Let's look at some dialogues that the most famous, "All is well." It begins as a reassurance. It fails when fear still dominates Raju, and it becomes a truth when he chooses life despite uncertainty. When the same words calm an unborn child during childbirth, the dialogue completes its journey. The words didn't change, the meaning did. Another dialogue, "ये आदमी नहीं, price tag है." Demo दिखाऊं? Rancho says this about Suhas at the wedding. He repeats it when Pia replaces her mother's heirloom watch with an expensive gift. Suhas proves the point himself, quoting the price of his shoes, watch, sherwani. The dialogue returns, sharper each time, exposing values without preaching. There is an interesting, this very interesting and subtle repetition of a dialogue with new meanings. Rancho tells Farhan when they receive the letter for his apprenticeship. लेटर हाथ में था, टैक्सी गेट पर थी, जरा सी हिम्मत कर लेता तो जिंदगी कुछ और होती. And see how subtly this gets repeated with new meanings. When Raju and Farhan want to take Priya away from her wedding to Rancho, Raju says, "जिंदगी भर नहीं भूलोगी कि गाड़ी गेट पर थी. हम तुम्हें रेंचो के पास ले जाने आए थे, लेकिन सिर्फ लोगों के डर से तुमने इस गधे से शादी कर ली." Let's look at the long-term payoff of the film, Chatur and the bet, which is the spine of the film. Chatur technically wins. He becomes rich, powerful, influential, yet he arrives insecure, desperate for Rancho's approval. The man who chased ranks ends up chasing validation. Success without fulfillment is exposed as another form of failure. Let us, Rancho, who is he? Ranachordas Shamaldas Chacha, seals the film's deepest idea. He borrows a name. He ignores degrees. He rejects ranks. None of them is available. Yet, he lives fully by the philosophy he preached. The system changes titles. The film rewards essence. So, to conclude, Three Idiots feels so complete because everything connects with everything. No scene exists without consequences. No object appears without payoff. No dialogue returns without evolution. No character stands alone. Let's talk about Kammo. Kammo, her marriage, is one of the reasons for financial insecurity of Raju in his family. Normal. Any brother will be concerned about his sister getting married. But the way it comes back when Raju is in hospital, फरहान कम्मो से शादी करने के लिए तैयार हो गया है. Actually, nobody in the film is random. Govind has a role. Dubey ji, the librarian, has a role. He has written the speech. He is very proud. And when this speech is changed, he is dismantled. He doesn't know what has hit him. And the audience doesn't know what has hit Dubey, what has hit Minister, what has hit the virus, and what has hit them. Three Idiots doesn't lecture. It connects. And that is the real lesson for writers. If something doesn't return with meaning, it does not belong to your script. Well, if you're new to the channel, subscribe and click that bell icon to receive regular updates on script analysis.